Um, Now we will move to our next speaker, Anju Govind, whose daughter has Leigh syndrome. Her daughter Aadya is an amazing spirit. We're local families, so I've had the pleasure to meet the family many times, and they are such an inspiration. So Anju, I'll pass it off to you.
Thank you so much, Casey. Thank you so much to the Cure Mito Foundation for this opportunity to share Adya's story. At the onset, I would like to tell you that while this is Adya's story, it is not Adya's story alone. It is also that of our family as a family that has an impacted child. And like Sammy so eloquently and inspirationally put, um, while the range of diagnosis in the rare disease community is broad, our experiences so often mirror each other. Given that, this is perhaps you will also resonate with parts of the story. Adya is our 8-year-old daughter. She is in third grade. She loves books and music, and she hates the television. She's an absolute social butterfly. Her favorite place in the world is her school, so much so that on Friday afternoons, her teachers generally console her by telling her that the weekend is just 2 days long and she'll be back in no time. Her favorite person in the world is her little sister Krishna. And she, so much so that Adya will even share her favorite dresses with Krishna. But given that Adya is 8 years old and Krishna is just 2, this only leads to what I can call interesting results. All of this is a tiny fraction of what defines Adya. But the first thing that you will probably notice when you look at her is all her medical interventions. Adya is on a wheelchair and she had a gastrostomy and tracheostomy. All of this because Aadya has mutations in her SERF1 gene and was diagnosed with Leigh syndrome at the age of 2. Today, she uses either a speaking valve or a communication device throughout the day. She has her own walker that she uses. And she also still manages to go to school. Today, I would like to share 3 stories from Aadya's life and ours, and I hope that this will give you a picture of the life of a rare disease family. The first is the story of Aadya's diagnosis. We lived in Singapore up until Aadya was 1.5 years old. During this time, we were the usual obsessive first-time parents fascinated with everything that Aadya did. And in that first year, Aadya met all her milestones. The only thing that she really struggled with towards the end of the first year was weight gain. She had feeding intolerances and issues, and she would vomit very frequently, leading to struggle to maintain her curve on the growth chart. But in our conversations with the medical provider, we rarely focused on this aspect. Our conversations were very fraught, and we left most appointments feeling like we were failing Aadya as her parents, which is why she was failing to put on weight. We moved to San Antonio in 2017, and by then Aadya was 1.5 years old. She was talking a mile a minute, but she was still not walking independently and still struggling with weight gain. We found a pediatrician online, and imagine our surprise when in our very first appointment, a pediatrician took one look at Aadya and said that they believed that Aadya should see a geneticist. They then referred her to a geneticist, set up all the follow-up appointments, and pushed for expedited testing when the initial testing yielded no results. It was thanks to her efforts that we had a diagnosis in less than 7 months. We know that some families go through years of testing, while others never receive a diagnosis at all. So this, in a sense, was our very own miracle. A miracle framed more by awareness than anything else. Because it was much later that our doctor told us that the reason she was so confident of the path to follow was because she had seen another child very close to Adya's age present with very similar symptoms. And this is the reason awareness to us as a family is not just a nebulous concept. It has made a tangible difference in our lives. If each year there are roughly 90 kids born with Leigh syndrome, I would like you to think of the odds of two of those kids ending up with the same pediatrician. And this is why we call it our miracle of awareness. The second story I would like to share with you is from the time when Aadya had a tracheostomy. So it was 2021. Pandemic regulations were still in effect in most hospitals. And I was 6 months pregnant with our second daughter. One day, Aadya woke up, unable to keep anything down, including liquids. We rushed her to the ER, where the doctors admitted her and intubated her immediately upon admission. She later tested negative for all infections, leading the doctors to conclude that she had a metabolic stroke. Now, this was our worst nightmare come to life. Our one silver lining was the strong community that was around us. They supported us with their experiences, and they also helped to connect our medical team with theirs, allowing all of them to come up with a treatment plan for Aadya based on what had worked for other kids. When Aadya failed her first extubation, we had to make the extremely difficult decision to go ahead with a tracheostomy. And in the toughest part of our journey, we found ourselves sitting across from two doctors who tried to be as delicate as possible as they asked us if we fully understood the impact of this decision. They asked us that given that Leigh syndrome is a progressive disease, would a decision that would prolong Aadya's life be the right decision for her? For a second, the force of the question completely took our breath away. How do you explain to two strangers that your sleepy and sedated daughter, who's lying on a hospital bed, still has life in her? That just an hour back, she was giggling over the color of the nail paint that would match her hospital gown. That she's so smart that she understands all conversations around her in 3 different languages. And that is why we had to step away from her bed to have this conversation. That she's beyond excited about her yet unborn little sister. That there is life and value and meaning inside her. We had no words back then. All we had was the experience that our community had shared with us, experience of other Surf Fund kids. And all we could do on the basis of that was make a decision and be steadfast. Aadya had her tracheostomy at the end of June, and she came back home with us in August. We strongly believe that the strong community that we have around us has been pivotal to actually bring Aadya to where she is today. The third story I would like to share with you is about Aadya herself. When Aadya started school, she was a virtual learner. She then went to being homebound because we were so nervous about infections in a school environment. At the end of her first year of homebound schooling, she had the opportunity to go for a field trip with her friends to the aquarium. When she came back from her field trip, we asked her, half in jest, if she would like to go to school in person. We were very sure the answer would be no, but to a complete surprise, the answer was a very prompt yes. Based on how badly she wanted this, we decided to put our reservations aside, and Aadya started her in-person school last year in September 2023. This is such an inconsequential thing for maybe somebody else, but for Aadya, it was a big milestone because school, with all its opportunities for independence, has made a material difference in Aadya's life. It has also been such an empowering decision for her. We believe that Aadya has taught us that the only limitations she had were the limitations that we had placed on her. She has taught us to expect more from her and from what life has in store for her. And that is why we actually work with the Cure Mito Foundation towards fundraising for a cure for Surf and Leigh syndrome. This journey has not been easy, but Aadya has led us through this journey with her unwavering strength and smile. Along with her, it is the support, the unflappable support of the rare disease community, our families who have at times put their entire lives on hold, and the awareness and the other pillars that we have been trying to build that has brought us to this position. We have come to understand that there is no prerequisite for faith, not even religion. We have faith that one day Aadya will share her own story with the world. We have faith that the team, the community that has come together today, made of researchers and doctors and patients and advocates, will work towards the goal of making a cure a reality, not just for Aadya, but all our mitochondrial warriors. Because all these children deserve a chance to live a life like any other child. Thank you so much once again for putting this together, for bringing this together. I would just like to end by telling you that Aadya, along with all other children, is today asking us to expect more from them and also do more for them. Let us be the group that can do it. And let us be the one who can make their dreams come true. Thank you again.
Wow, Anju, thank you so much for that, for those three amazing stories. Adia truly is a warrior. And I'm just so thankful that you are. I'm not thankful that we're here because of the rare disease, but I'm thankful that we're in this journey together.